In the heart of the ancient kingdom of Elúma, a great river flowed, calm by day, but at night whispers rose from its depths. The people called it Olu River, home of Nemea, the river goddess who guarded the balance between man and spirit. But when the king declared war against a neighboring tribe, strange things began to happen. The river's water turned cloudy, and fishermen who cast their nets at night returned empty-handed.
Far away, in a quiet village near the forest's edge, lived a young hunter named Daren. He was brave but proud, known for his skill with the spear. One night, while hunting near the river, he heard a soft voice call his name, a whisper that came not from a person, but from the flowing water itself. The voice was sweet yet sorrowful, and it said, "Daren, your hands are stained with the blood."
Daren froze where he stood. He looked around, seeing no one, only the moonlight glimmering on the river's surface. He wanted to run, but the voice spoke again, calm like a mother's warning. "Do not fear me, child of the earth. I am Nemea, guardian of this river. The war of men has awakened a curse you do not understand." Daren, though trembling, asked. The water rippled, forming the shape of a woman's face, beautiful but ancient, her eyes glowing like silver pearls. "A hunter's greed has angered the spirits," she whispered, "and now the land bleeds." Before Daren could ask more, a sharp pain shot through his arm. A burning mark shaped like a flowing wave appeared on his skin. The river fell silent again, leaving only the echo of her warning behind.
Daren hurried home, his arm burning where the mark had appeared. He tried washing it, but the shape of the wave remained, glowing faintly under the moonlight. His mother, Old Mara, saw it and gasped. "That is no wound," she whispered. "It is a spirit's mark. You must not speak of this to anyone, my son." Daren was confused and frightened, yet a strange calmness lingered inside him, like the river itself.
That night, he dreamt of the river again. In the dream, he stood on its surface, surrounded by shadows of warriors fighting and falling into the water. The goddess Nemea appeared, her voice heavy with sorrow. "You are chosen, Daren, but the path of the chosen is filled with pain." When he woke, he could still hear her whisper echoing in his. The kingdom of Elúma was changing fast. King Oran had gathered his warriors, drums of war thundering from morning till night. The riverbanks, once peaceful, now filled with soldiers washing their weapons and swearing oaths of victory. But the river no longer sparkled. It had turned dark and restless, as if mourning something unseen.
Daren was called to join the king's hunters, who would provide food for the soldiers. Though he still feared the mark on his arm, he went, hoping to hide his secret. But as they entered the forest, birds fled before them, and the trees whispered like old spirits. One of the older hunters said in fear, "The forest rejects us. This is a..."
Daren and the hunters tracked a giant antelope, swift and strong. But when Daren threw his spear, it missed and struck a sacred tree. The tree oozed red sap, blood-like and thick, and the forest roared in anger. A wind howled, knocking men to the ground. The others fled, shouting that Daren had... When Daren tried to pull his spear from the tree, he heard Nemea's voice again. "You have wounded the heart of the forest." The ground trembled, and from the shadows rose a creature, half man, half beast, its eyes burning like fire. "The spirits of war awaken," Nemea whispered. "You cannot fight what you do not.
When the light faded, the forest was silent again. The creature had turned to ash, but Daren felt no victory, only fear. He fell to his knees, breathing hard. The goddess's voice returned, faint but firm. You cannot escape your bond to me, Daren. The curse of men is now...
Word spread quickly. The hunters who survived told the king that Daren was possessed by a spirit. King Oran summoned the village oracle, an old blind woman named Sina, to see the truth. Sina touched Daren's marked arm and gasped. "This is the seal of Nemea," she said. "It appears only to those chosen to bridge the world of..." That night, the river overflowed. The waters crept into villages, destroying farms and homes. People fled, crying that the goddess was angry. Daren stood at the riverbank, hearing her voice once more. "Blood calls to blood, Daren. Your king's war has broken." He begged her, "Tell me how to stop this." But the river only whispered, "When pride rules over peace, even the gods must weep." As he spoke, he saw faces in the water, spirits of the dead, whispering his name. Their cold eyes followed him as he ran back to warn the
King Oran refused to listen. "You speak like a coward," he told Daren. "The river belongs to the crown, not to spirits." He ordered his priests to perform a sacrifice, 10 maidens to calm the river goddess. The people cried, but no one dared to speak against him.
Daren, heartbroken, tried to stop it. "You will curse us all," he said, but the soldiers pushed him away. That night, the maidens were thrown into the river, and a deep silence followed. For a moment, it seemed calm, until the earth began. Thunder roared from a cloudless sky. The river rose like a serpent, swallowing everything in its path. Villages vanished under the flood. The king's palace cracked as waters burst through its gates. People screamed Nemea's name, begging for mercy. Daren stood at the edge of the destruction, helpless. Then he saw her, Nemea, rising from the river like a shining spirit. Her voice boomed like thunder. "I warned you, children of Elúma. Your greed has broken the bond of life." And as her tears fell into the water, more storms followed. By dawn, Elúma was no more. What had once been a proud kingdom was now a land of broken huts and drowning cries. Only a few survived, among them Daren and the old oracle Sina. They found shelter on a high hill overlooking the... Sina turned to Daren. "The goddess spared you because your heart still seeks truth. But the curse has only begun. You must return what was taken." Daren asked, "What was taken?" Sina looked toward the river. Sina told the legend of long ago, when the first king of Elúma stole a jewel from the river, said to be the heart of Nemea. It was hidden deep in the palace, bringing power and wealth to the kingdom. "As long as it lies with men," Sina said. Daren knew what he had to do. "Then I will find it," he said, "and return it, even if it costs me my life." The oracle nodded sadly. Daren set out toward the ruined palace. The ground was still wet and trembling with the river's fury. Along the way, he met survivors, lost, hungry, afraid. Some cursed him, saying he brought the goddess's anger. Others begged him to speak to her and end their...
Inside, Daren's heart was heavy, but the mark on his arm glowed brighter each time he neared the palace. It was guiding him, pulling him closer,
When he reached the palace ruins, he found the hall filled with mist. From the shadows emerged ghostly figures, warriors who had died in the flood. They surrounded him, their eyes hollow. "Why should we let you pass?" one hissed.
Daren raised his hand, the river mark shining. "Because I walk with the will of Nemea," he said. The spirits bowed their heads, and the mist parted, revealing a secret stair that led deep beneath the earth.
At the end of the stairway, Daren found a door made of stone, carved with waves and eyes. He pushed it open, and inside lay a pool of glowing water. In the center of the pool rested a blue gem, the heart of Nemea. Its light pulsed like a heartbeat. As he stepped closer, a dark shape rose from the water, the same beast of shadows he had faced before, now larger and fiercer. It spoke with many voices. "You cannot return what greed has claimed." Daren lifted his spear, though it shook in his hands. "I do not fight for men," he said. "I fight for balance." The beast lunged, and they clashed, light against shadow, water against flame. Each strike echoed like thunder underground. When Daren was nearly defeated, he plunged his marked arm into the pool. The water wrapped around him like armor, and Nemea's voice filled his mind. "Let go, Daren. Become one with the river." He did, and the mark spread across his body, glowing like liquid light. Daren's body dissolved into water, merging with the beast screamed as light consumed it, shattering it into mist. The gem floated upward, and from its glow rose Nemea, reborn, her form bright and pure. "You have done what no king could," she said softly. "You have restored what was lost." The palace trembled, but the floods began to calm. The waters receded, leaving new land shining under the dawn. But Daren was gone, his spirit now one. The river once again sparkled under the sun, and the people lived in peace. But on quiet nights, when the moon touched the water, some said they could hear a young man's voice whispering with the goddess. Generations passed, and Daren's tale became a legend told to every child. They called him the Hunter of Balance, the mortal who tamed the wrath of a goddess. Some said his spirit guided fishermen away from danger. Others said he still walked the riverbanks, watching over Elúma's. But no one doubted one truth: the river was alive. Its whispers carried the memory of Daren's courage and the mercy of. On the 100th year after the flood, the river rose once more, not in anger, but in song. Its waters danced like glass, and in the moonlight, two figures could be seen, a man and a woman, walking upon the waves. The villagers knelt, knowing the goddess and her chosen had. And as the night wind carried their whispers across the land, the people remembered. When men forget the spirits, the earth will remind them, through river, through storm, through the voice of the goddess.